Morning, everybody, and aloha. Welcome to Just Talking 24, number 15. We're going to start this today with it's going to be like a mini series. I use five idioms, as I told you, and those idioms in no particular order except the last one. Exception to everything, right? The bell, my bell thing. And they are toilet paper, the river, the sharpest tack, forest, and kiss. And that's the one I'm going to talk about today, kiss. It's the easiest to say, and really it's the hardest to do, yet it seems to be the most important of everything. It it helps you to get down to the basics and put whatever balance in your life that you need or you want in there. It's really the first block in the cornerstone of my idioms. And how I got to it was the other day I was revising revising my wife's physician's list because her doctors want to know what other doctors are seeing her. She has multiple problems, and we're up to 15 physicians. She is that she sees at least once a year. 15, with the exception there's one, like I said, there's exceptions to everything. Her surgeon, her general surgeon, he's we went this past Monday to an appointment, and I walked into his office, and the receptionist was there, and she goes, "What you doing here?" I said, "Oh, we're here to see, the doc." And she goes, "Well, he's not here." I go, "But I got one, I have a appointment." She goes, "No, not on Mondays, because he doesn't see anybody on Mondays. In fact, he's leaving for Tokyo today. He's going to Japan." I said, "Really?" I said, "But my appointment book said March 17th." And so she looked and she goes, "Well, you're right and you're wrong." I go, "What you mean I'm right and wrong?" "Yeah, what, March 17th happens more than once a year." She goes, "No, but your appointment is for March 17th, 2026. I go, 2026. And my wife and I looked at each other. I go, "What kind of doctor makes an appointment 2 years?" Because we just saw him last year. We see him once a year. And he made the appointment for March 17th, 2026. So I told her, "Well, at least, one good thing, he expects you to be here next year. That's pretty good when a surgeon, gives you that kind of, optimistic appointment." But it got me thinking about, gotta revise the list. Okay, so I was revising the list, and I saw how complicated her medical life is, and how really complicated we are. And if you follow what's happening in the government and who isn't, right? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make sense. President Trump just did away with the Federal Department of Education, which my wife was up in arms. She goes, "Oh, that's so stupid," and everything. And I told her, "No, it makes sense because I've been telling her this for years, that the purpose of the federal government isn't to hire the masses. It isn't to be the masses. It's just to run this country in the core. So you gotta, but they made themselves so big. I mean, look at how much money we're spending, right? There was this one thing I saw on the YouTube again about this guy. In fact, it wasn't on YouTube; it was on X, and he was talking about this USIP or something, where it's a bureau for international protocol, and it was like they had 300 people employed, no oversight whatsoever, no fiscal oversight, They had hundreds of millions of dollars in their budget, and nobody knows what they did. You see, when you get all those layers, when you start peeling away the layers, you see the amount of, you gross, and it's gross, the overspending. And so I told her the Federal Department of Education can set basic guidelines, but you don't need a department for that. You can have a panel of five, five scholars from around the world. I mean, in fact, around the world, really. And what the core requirements the kids are going to need. And reading, writing, arithmetic. Basically, that's it. How to read, how to write. Um, when I grew up, standard American English was to be spoken in my home at all times. My mom, um, bless her, she made she was white. Okay, she was white. My mom was born in 1928 in San Francisco, and at the time she was born a blue baby. If any of you knows what that is, it's a baby that's born with a heart heart problem, and when they look blue because their body just isn't getting enough oxygen. And at the time, remember now, 1928, Dr. Blaylock had not um, perfected or even thought of his procedure yet to treat this. There's a treatment today, but in 1928, the common thing was that a child would only last to about 2 years of age. I mean, that was the prognosis. That was the accepted lifespan of a blue baby. So, and my mom knew this, and she told me that every day after her second birthday, she considered a gift of God. Okay, I'll talk about my mom later on. She was a beautiful person, but so these lasted until she was 2 years old. Sorry, and then they moved to Kauai because my grandmother came from Kauai. My grandfather was a master mechanic, and he acquired a job at I believe the McBride sugar mill as a mechanic. So they moved to Kauai, and they stayed there for a couple of years, and then they moved to Oahu when my mom was 4 years old. I guess they wanted, you move from Seattle, or you move from the West Coast, you move to Kauai, and you go stir crazy because if you think, it's sorry, think it's bad now. Wait until think about back in the 20s, right? How slow it must have been, one horse town. And so they moved to Oahu, and my grandfather got a job at the Honolulu Rapid Transit, the trolley cars. There were trolley cars, the electric trolley cars. And he was, like I said, he's a master mechanic. My mom said he could take apart and put together anything, good with his hands. But my mom was white. My grandfather was Irish and Scot, and my grandmother was Portuguese. So she was taken as white. And back then, our public school system was separated. It was segregated. You had the public school system, and then you had English school system. Forget what they call it. Not English as a second language. It'll come to me later. But the white people, so what we call the Howleys. The Howleys went to the It was called English Standard. Excuse me, English Standard schools, and this kind of ticked off my mom because she lived only literally 1 block away from the regular public school, but yet quarter mile away from the English Standard School. And so she wanted to go to the public school. I mean, right there, maybe not even 2 minutes of a run, not even. But no, she had to go to the other school, and all her friends were from around the area. They were local, local kids and everything. but she couldn't go to school with them. She had to go to the English Standard. But in a way, it was a blessing. And at English Standard, she learned American Standard English, and so we grew up. I grew up saying, speaking. Sorry, see, didn't learn speaking standard American English. The only time you could use foreign words was when they went to describe a dish, describe a process or something that it was just a local jargon. But in 1969, my parents bought me what I consider to be one of the greatest gifts I ever received, and that was the World Book Encyclopedia. And so, excuse me for this. I gotta grab something. But before that, if I wanted to go to if I wanted to research anything, I would have to go to the library. And the library, if you remember, the card category, the card catalog, and the periodicals and whatever research you do, you'd have to write notes, unless you were rich and you could afford the mimeograph, the copier at $5, 5 cents a sheet. But I'm doing pages, right? And in the book, you can't really get into the cracks in the book, and then you got to figure out what that word was. So anyway, it was all written down. You had to write notes and everything, and it was a PITA, pain in the what. But so in 1969, they bought me World Book Encyclopedia, and with the World Book Encyclopedia came this. Can you see that? This is the World Book Unabridged Dictionary. I gave away the encyclopedia, but I kept the dictionary. And the orders from my mom were, if you don't understand a word, you look it up. You can't spell it, do it phonetically. If you can't do it phonetic, if you still can't find it, then you come ask me. And this book right here, these two books, 1969, I have them till today. They're so important to me. I still have them, and I still use them. I leave them right in the front here where I film. They're on my table. They are very important to me. And it showed me, because she said, you want to get around in a white man's world, you're going to, and these were her words, I didn't say, she goes, you want to get along in a white man's world, you got to learn the white man's tongue. She sounded like an Indian when she was talking about that, but it's true. And when I, and in order to get the words, you got to get to the meaning, right? And they crush the meaning of all the words. Let me give you an example. The word discriminate. Today, it's a very dirty word, yeah? Oh, discriminate this, discriminate that. All discriminate means is to choose. That's all it is. It's how you use it and how it's used. When discrimination, that's so bad. Another word that I find that's very bad too is deserve. When you hear someone got killed unexpectedly, or in a crime thing, in a shootout or something, he gets shot. The parents or the mother usually will say, my boy didn't deserve it. And do you know what deserve means? Deserve only means is worthy of. That's all it means, is worthy of. And most people that are killed do deserve it. And that means, yes, they were worthy of death. And in order to be worthy of death, you have to be alive, because it's kind of hard to kill a dead person. You understand what I mean? But when you strip away all those layers of complications and look at the government, what the government's doing, Department of Education, we don't need it. We don't. All they use the Department of Education for is for money, because they no longer follow their guidelines. Look at the kids. They're getting more stupid. The test scores are showing it. And President Trump knows it. He realizes it. And he's saying, look, you're getting billions of dollars. And this is the results we're getting. We're not getting our money's worth. We're not running efficiently, right? Okay, you catch the Doge thing? And so he's actually doing something. He campaigned on change. We voted him in on change. He is showing us change. And I'm sorry, this is going to be political. And I'm on the outside and I'm just looking in. Because, like I told you, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. That means I'm on the outside looking in. And the Democrats are scrambling because they almost, I mean, if you see if the word inefficient, that's what they are. They can't, they cannot, they can't account for what they're doing. You know how bad it is in Hawaii? Our Department of Education, they brought in an outside auditing firm. This is a couple years back. And anyway, they wanted the Department of Education, our local state Department of Education, they wanted it audited, to find out, where is the money going? Because, everyone is saying, the teachers are saying we get more money, and we need more money, 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 money. And the auditing company came here, and I don't know how long they spent, okay? And do you know what they finally came up with? And I gotta give them kudos because that's guts to say. They said we can't audit the Department of Education. It's so mired in, you know, in bureaucracy that they could not effectively audit the Department of Education. And then everybody just let it go. What did you think? If you can't do it, then you would tear it apart and start again, rebuild? Nope. Well, that's what President Trump's doing. That's what he's trying to do to the government. He has to systematically break it down and rebuild. And like I told you, we're talking 80 to 100 years of this layers. And he's not going to do it in four. He can start. And even if he's given 8, he can still start. But they're going to have to, they're going to have to do a lot of, because you can't just break it down one time because that would be a total shutdown of the nation. You can't do that. So to put it on took 100 years, but then to take it off, you got to identify it, then remove it, but remove it in a way, it's like a Jenga. You got to remove it in a way that you don't break the whole structure down. So it's harder to disassemble than to reassemble. Unless you want total destruction, and nobody wants that. I don't want it. I'm sure you don't want it. That's what I mean. Keep it simple. How do you keep it simple when it's so complicated? And yet, we like complication in our lives. We seem we've like combined like how like a lot of people combine religion with God. They think they're synonymous. They're not. They're two different things. We think, complexity with knowledge. No. Knowledge is having the ability to know the basic. A lot of these things I'm telling you, I learned back in 7th, 8th grade. My science, my basic science knowledge, and the knowledge that I refer to every time, I learned back in 7th and 8th grade. Basic. You go back to the basics. You peel away all the layers. Coronavirus. Now they're coming out and saying, oh, it might have been, no, it was, and came out of China. It's the flu, folks. All of a sudden it goes, oh, it doesn't. It doesn't go away. And that kind of stuff, like what we were taught in basic biology. What is a virus? And viruses do not go away. They don't. They may go into dormancy, sorry, But it's not like a light switch you can turn off and on. They're not going to just do it one day, and that's what happened. 2023 came around, and people got tired of it. People got tired of the lockouts. People got tired, of the shut-ins, and it went away. Look at the avian the avian flu with the chickens. It's not that bad anymore, but yet egg prices are still going through the roof. I just went to my grocer, and 1 dozen eggs over $10. That's almost $1 an egg, you know. So I told my wife, "You're gonna eat tofu. Tofu is a great substitute for eggs for protein, because she doesn't like protein powder. I love protein powder. Yeah, the mega powder and all that. The way, yeah, I like it, but she doesn't. But she needs protein. I focus on protein on her diet, and she doesn't like it. She likes her snacks. She likes her junk, and that I told her that's how you got into the situation you're in. But gotta love them, man. You gotta love them. But yeah, just try to keep it simple, stupid. And that's me. People say, "Oh, you think you're so smart?" I go, "No, I'm stupid. I know I'm stupid." And the worst is, the more I learn, the more stupid I feel. Like I said, that's the balance. Everything is balance. And to keep it simple, you've got to identify complexity. And the more complex people can make it, the more exclusive it becomes. If is that the word I'm looking for? Like astrophysicists with their boards of formulas and everything, you know, and they come out, and I like watching the Big Bang Theory, Sheldon, and even he says, he's been working for years on this theory, and he's gotten nothing. And but they've got all these equations and everything, but no application. Um, I asked one guy to explain to me, please, Einstein's famous equation: E equals mc square. Simple, right? E equals mc square. Energy equals mass times the speed of light times the speed of light. I told him, but can you do it? He goes, what? I said, yeah, can you do it? Can you take an object, propel it to the speed of light times the speed of light? Now, even the speed of light is theoretical. They think it's 186,000 miles a second. They think it is. Well, thinking don't make it so. I think that I'm good looking, but thinking don't make it so, right? You guys know. Like my friend said, I got the perfect face for radio. But it's true. You see it right here. But the and it's all theoretical, but they want to make it sound like it's so complicated, and they're so smart, and all they're doing is just writing their ideas in their form, which is the formulas. That's their language. Look, everybody does it. Every profession does it. Doctors, they speak in their language. Oh my God. The difference between ostomy, ectomy, and octomy, that kind of thing. And then, you know, the different parts of the body that they use: tibia, fibia, patella, stuff like that. Bones, muscles, vessels, organs, whatever, procedures. And they want to sound, well, it gives them exclusiveness. It separates them from the common man. People love complexity. Everybody does it. And so when you get a president who's trying to talk to you and trying to do stuff and it's plain as day, people run away. How do they run away? Jump in the river with complexity. That's why I told my wife, him shutting down the Department of Education makes perfect sense. We don't need it federally because that's what our 10th Amendment's all about. The 10th Amendment gives the individual states the right to do themselves their own, which is what this is how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to have a central federal government, a small one, and every state does their own thing. They know you would know your state what you need. You would know your state how to, how to work it. Also in those days, we're talking about 1700 now. You got to remember this piece of paper was written in the 1700s. And try and remember how communication was back then. Didn't have TV, telephones, TV, internet, nothing. It was word of mouth or written, had to be delivered, a delivered written message. And delivering it was not done quickly. It was done by horseback and, wagon or whatever you want to do it. And we weren't that big. In 1700s, we were only on the East Coast. We hadn't gone west yet. So as we got larger, but technology did not grow with the country. The Industrial Revolution came in the late 1800s, right? And if you look at the world's population, at our population, the late 1800s was our explosion. We doubled and tripled the world population in a matter of 2 generations, 40 years. And that was from the Industrial Revolution. Right now, all of a sudden, we had machines that could far outdo farmers, could outproduce out of an acre of land, way overproduce because they could cultivate it modernly. Okay. But you got to remember that because population will grow as food will grow. But there's a certain point where you got to have, enough, or you've got to grow your supply. And then they started, it's all, and that's where we are today. But you got to peel through all this complication. And, going back to what I was saying, every profession, even your profession, you look at your own profession, you guys have got your own jargon. Why? To keep it exclusive, to give, I don't know, it's a combination of, well, number one, so you can communicate with each other and you know what each other's talking about, and it gets kind of concise. Or, number two, to mar it in ambiguity, sorry. Make it ambiguous, and so that only you can speak it. You know what I mean? It gives you control. And it makes you sound like you know what you're talking about. Like right now, I make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. But it is. And that's what KISS is all about. You got to keep it simple. Easy to say, but so hard to do. And I'm learning. I'm trying to. I was trying to make this as simple as I possibly could, but look how complex I got it. See? I do the same thing all the time. But I just want you to try. Just try and make everything simple. Because when you get down to the simple, the simplicity of a problem, it's kind of easy to fix. It is. The options might grow. I mean, some grow, some shrink. Most of the time, I find out when I bring it down to simplicity, the solution is simple. The problem was simple, and the problem gets fixed. It's like when I used to go tell my doctor, "Hey, it hurts when I do this." So then he goes, "Well, don't do it." Simple. But anyway, thanks for coming here. Like I said, this is KISS. We still got toilet paper, forest, the river. That one's gonna be fun, and the sharpest tack. But I hope you have a great week. Um, St. Patty's Day came and went. Oh, and the corned beef wasn't that good, but now we're gonna have corned beef hash. But anyway, I just want to tell all of you: take care of each other, love each other. Hui ho, malama pono, and from me to you always, aloha. Bye bye.